Hello, I'm Jill and this is Puttering Outdoors. Today, I'm going to be working on another fabrication project. I'm going to try to do something that I haven't seen online. I've done a bit of research. Well, I actually looked for this kind of project all around and I haven't seen anybody do it. So either it's a really stupid idea or it's a really great idea. I don't know. I'm going to try it out just to try to solve one of my problems. And what that is that I want to put casters on my snowblower. The reason being is that when I snowblow, the skid pads actually dig into the gravel and I still pick up a lot of gravel. And that gravel will actually get caught between the housing and the auger and it will break shear pins. I'm going to throw the gravel all over the lawn in the woods. You know, you pay a lot of money for that gravel and you don't want to lose it. You don't want to spit it out in the woods. So what I'm going to try to do is actually put the casters behind the snowblower so it'll actually ride on the casters and not on the skid shoes, and that way there I hope that we'll be able to ride above the surface of the gravel. Yeah, it's nice later in the year when the gravel actually freezes, then you won't dig in. But even last year, all year long, even though we had some really cold temperatures, the gravel was still loose and I was still picking it up throughout the year, throughout the winter. So I want to try to solve that problem. Hopefully it'll work. If not, I'm going to make it so you can actually remove the legs. And I'm going to make them so they're really adjustable to, I don't know, anywhere from laying right down on the ground. I need the snowboard to be able to lay on the ground because that's what I use to clean out our pond. We have a pond out back and that's what I use to clear it. And then if I want to set it to a higher level where it's, you know, more rocky ground or rough ground, I can set it to a higher level. I think I can go up to about 2 inches with my designs, 2 or 3 inches high. So we'll see how all this works out. I'm going to modify the snowblower a little bit. I'll just drill 2 holes in order to mount these casters. I'm going to build a frame behind that for the casters, 2 casters, one on each side. They won't be on the actual side, they'll be behind the snowblower. I don't want them on the side because I like my clean edges when I snowblow. So yeah, let's get right at it and we'll see how it turns out. So the casters that I have are these casters. I got them offline on Amazon, and I'm not sure if they're really rated for outdoors. The bearings are open, but whatever, I'll keep greasing them. There's a Zerk fitting there in order to pump grease into it. And these are rated to handle 330 pounds, and I'm gonna have 2 of them, so 660 pounds. I don't think the snowblower weighs that much. I think it weighs around the 250 pound to 300 pound mark, so I'll be well within the limit of these casters. And in order to hold the casters, I'm gonna have this I think it's 1 inch square tubing. I'll have a plate to actually adapt this to the square tubing, and this square tubing will go in another square tubing that's a little bit bigger and it slides right in, and I'll have a series of holes that will allow me to you know, set the height that I want it at. And I think the way I designed the holes, I think I have a 5mm setting point that I can set, so I'll be able to set it at, you know, 5mm increments, which is really great. And yeah, I think everything should work great. So I'm gonna start cutting some metal. I might actually throw in the design that I made up in CAD software just to show you what it's gonna look like. And yeah, let's start cutting some metal and putting it together, and it should go fairly quick. It's a small project. So okay, before I start cutting some metal, I had noticed that my blade, whenever I cut some metal, it would actually, like, you know, skip a lot. And I've noticed that in the blade, there's a couple of kinks. So somehow the blade might have gotten jammed a little bit and it actually created some kinks in it. So I'm gonna change the blade. I just installed the blade, I've never changed it, but it shouldn't be too hard. I bought 5 new blades on Amazon. Here, let me try to find the kinks. See, there's 1 kink, well, there's 2 kinks right here. They're hard to see, but see, there's one right here and another one right here, and it would always like jump a little bit. So I'm gonna try to put on a new blade just to see how it behaves, if it behaves better. Can't see it being any worse. It's fairly easy to change this blade. I'm surprised. And there's a tensioning lever at the back here. Once you're done installing it, you just gotta tension that up, and it fell into place. So ready to cut the first piece of metal. Let me go measure a piece of metal and try it out. Okay, now that I've got 4 of these pieces cut, now I need to cut 4 pieces to do up the frame on this side. And then the smaller tool will actually go up and down one of these edge pieces. And I'll drill a series of holes along this one and this one so that they coincide. So now let me cut these pieces. They have to be 180 millimeters long. So I'll measure those up, cut 4 of those. Then I'm almost, then I gotta drill the holes. Okay, now according to my designs, on the big tube, I need to put a hole, it's a 3/8 inch hole in order to receive this pin. I need to put one at every 20 millimeters, right in the center, because then the other pipe, the smaller pipe that goes inside, those will be at 17.5 millimeters on center. And they're off like that so that when you move the pipe up and down, you'll have, like, you know, different holes will meet up at different situations. So you have a lot finer increments to adjust the height of the wheel. So now I just got to find the center and start marking these holes at 20 millimeters. And they got to be very accurate. Especially when I drill them, so when I put in the other pipe in the middle, they gotta line up or else we'll have problems. So I'm just gonna mark the center now on all of these, and then I'll measure out the 20 millimeters. I'm trying to avoid the weld, because when they form this pipe, they have a weld where they put it together, where they weld it together, and I don't know, sometimes it'll make the bit go a little bit off center. So, and I'm gonna step drill this. Well, I'm gonna start off with a tiny bit so it's easier to hit the center. Then after that I'll use the 3/8 inch. Alright, now to measure the 20 millimeters. I'm gonna use calipers. 19.99, close enough. I should mark where I started from, so, and I only need it on 2 of these. I'll use these 2. The saw blade doesn't really cut true up and down. It always, you know, kind of drifts away, so I end up with one side that's a little bit longer. Anyways, okay, so now I'm gonna center punch, try to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the smaller pipe that goes inside the big pipe. I'm gonna do them all at once because I don't want to change the drill bit over and over again. So I'm just gonna measure out these ones. I can barely see where I marked it. I think I need a new pencil. Alright, so these have to be 17.5 millimeters apart. Took me a while to figure out how far apart to put the holes so that you could get a lot of possibilities for adjustments. I used an online CAD software to draw the parts, and I would slide the parts you know, one on top of each other, and see how the lines lined up, or holes, sorry. And yeah, I came up with this number. Be nice to have infinite possibilities, but then it'd probably be hard to even get them aligned side to side. because you want both sides to be level, or else, you know, you'll be snow blowing on a, with maybe a crown in the middle of the driveway. There, now let's start drilling some holes. So when I do the pilot hole, obviously I only have to do the top layer, because then once I do the top layer, the bit will naturally follow that hole. So let's go ahead and drill these top pilot holes and go from there. All right, now let's change to the 3/8 bit and drill those holes. Just gonna test fit the pin in one of the holes. Fits perfectly. I think it'll work nice. I should give myself a little bit more leeway here. Wow, that was a lot of holes. Whoever engineered this wasn't thinking about whoever had to fabricate it. Man, I should have thought about this twice. But anyways, yeah, that was good, I think. All right, it's hot. Okay, let this cool off a little bit, clean up a little bit, and then we'll try it out. Okay, so I just filed the holes inside because it was a little rough sliding this in. But now, geez, I don't know if I can show you that properly, but you can see that the holes align like at all different positions, I guess. So yeah, so this way here, I can set my pin in this hole for this height and vice versa. And yeah, the holes all line up really good, which I'm glad. I was a little scared that I'd be off center, but it seems like it all came out okay. So now the next bit to do would be to actually weld. Let me go get the other two pieces here. To weld this frame together like this, making sure it's square. I just found out that my bandsaw, when it cuts, it actually like deviates outwards. I don't know if I mentioned that in the previous clip or not, but anyways, so I got to make sure that this is square. And the reason why this frame is this wide is so that it'll compensate for when going backwards, that this doesn't actually rub up against the frame of the snowblower. So yeah, I think it's gonna work. Just gotta weld these up now, make sure they're square, and go from there. Okay, so now we gotta mount the casters to this 1/4 inch square tube pipe, and as you can see, you know, it doesn't fit really good. But this is 4 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. So what I'll do is I'll take some 2-inch flat stock and weld two of them together, butt them together. So I'll have a 4-inch wide platform, and I'll weld that to this part, to the bottom of this, and then I'll be able to drill holes to match up these mounting holes, and I'll be able to mount it using bolts in case I ever have to change one or anything like that. So let's go ahead and cut up those 4 pieces of 2-inch flat stock, weld them up together, and then weld them to the bottom of this. I ground down some grooves just so that I have better place to weld in, since I'll be grinding these flat in order to for the casters to mount flush to these plates. So yeah, the welds will penetrate a little bit better, and when I do grind them flat, it won't affect the sturdiness of it, I guess. So now let me get set up in order to weld these, and then after that we can grind them flat. I screwed a block of wood on the edge of my workbench so I could hold these plates down when I weld it in the metal. Because of the heat, when it cools off, it's going to want to pull, and hopefully these will stop it from pulling and warping the platform that I'm going to build. One good thing about having a workbench in wood is that you can do stuff like this. One oversight that I did when I built this workbench was that I didn't leave a lip here in order to use, you know, the plywood as a clamp. I did do that on the miter saw desk, where I do have an overhang so I could clamp stuff down. But you know, with a wooden bench, you can always, like I did here, just attach a block and use that. So I'm gonna tag these and flip it over and tack it on the other side, and then I should be able to weld the whole thing. Okay, now as you can see, this plate here mates really well with this caster. So all I gotta do now is transfer the bolt holes, and that should drill a bolt. I'm not sure what size bolts I'm gonna use yet. I'm gonna see what I got on hand here. I'd rather not go buy anything. I got enough money in this project already. Ooh, they're still hot. And in this plate I won't drill an oval. I'll just drill a regular round bolt hole, just because the ovals on the casters, which can be used for adjustments, I don't need them on these actual plates. So let me figure out what size bolt I need, and I'll set up the drill press and drill out those holes. What's not good about these magnets is that some metal shards will get stuck to them, and then it's hard to get square. got some pretty good penetration. Looks pretty good. Okay, the next step is to build a mounting bracket that will go on the snowblower. Now what I want to do is use this 2-inch stock, flat stock, and weld it here and drill holes at the top here and at the bottom and weld that, or not weld it, mount it using bolts to the snowblower. However, I gotta see where it goes on the snowblower to make sure that there's enough clearance between the auger and the shroud or the housing to make sure that the bolt head's not going to interfere with the auger actually turning. So the next step is to take the loader off the tractor, go get the snowblower, put it on the front. I mean, I could carry it here with the pallet force, but I want to see how it sits, you know, when it's loaded on the tractor. So let's go ahead and do that. Take off the loader and go get the snowblower, and then we'll see what kind of clearances we're dealing with, how high this sits, and all that jazz. Don't know what's going to be underneath here. Haven't looked underneath here since I put it away in the spring. It looks to be half decent. I find that's always the hardest part. Putting this 4-point hitch on. It's a great system. Now you saw the problems that I had hooking up the snowblower. Usually it's not that difficult. It's only because it wasn't on level ground. It was leaning forwards. I had to kind of pull back on it, put a wedge to make sure that it was level enough to grab the 4-point hitch. But besides that, like, you know, this is a great system. It hooks on usually really easily. But anyways, let's go on to looking at the clearances. Just looking at it quickly now. I don't think I'll have a problem at all, but I still want to measure to make sure. And I got to remove the skid pads just because I want to sit on the ground, so I know how high I can mount it, you know, where the casters won't be touching, because I need it to be able to sit on the ground when I'm in float mode. Because when I clear the pond, when I snowblow the pond, I want to scrape right down to the ice. I don't want to leave any snow at all behind. So let me go ahead and remove these snowshoes, these skid pads, hopefully for the last time. Last year I had to remove them, I don't know, put them on maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 times. And I had to do it out in the elements. It was not fun. That's why I thought of this idea. So let's go ahead and remove those and start measuring and checking the clearances, and hopefully things go great. I don't know if you noticed in the recording yesterday, but when I was welding these on, I welded one of these on crooked, so the holes aren't putting the same way. It doesn't really matter. It's only like, you know, one side's 4.5 inches, the other side's 4 inches. So I'll just have to make sure that I set both of these in 2.25 inches, so it's in the middle. I just don't want, you know, the one that's got the largest, the widest, I don't want it protruding outside the snowblower. So it's no big deal. Anyways, let's go ahead and try to, I'm gonna mount casters to this one, put it on the bracket itself, and see how high it sits before it touches the ground, and we'll measure how high the holes need to be, and we'll go from there. I must have all made the holes a little bit off center because it goes on better one way than the other. But that's fine. This is the assembly here. This will get welded onto, or not welded onto, sorry. It'll get attached to the frame of the snowblower, and yeah, seems a little high. Let's go see how it fits. Okay, so this will be going here. I'll measure to 2.5 inches, or 2.25, sorry. I should actually get a spacer here so I can actually mount it down. But I just need to get an approximation, right? But as you can see, the caster can turn around. It's not rubbing on here. Plus we'll have an extra 1/4 inch from that flat stock as well. So we'll have lots of room. Alright, let me measure stuff up. I'll mark and drill the holes and weld this, and yeah, hopefully it'll work. So here it is assembled. As you can see right now, the snowblower is sitting on the ground and this is floating freely. I will try to actually lift it up and set it to a position where it's actually riding on the casters, and I'll drive down the driveway just to see. Here's the other side, same thing. Casters are moving freely. This is really sturdy. I don't think I need more support than that, but we'll see, I guess, as time moves on. Once I test it, I'll disassemble everything and paint the units. So let me go test it out now. But yeah, I got it at a very high setting, just so I don't pick up any gravel. Okay, this is the following day, and looks like all the parts are nice and dry. Let's assemble this together and go put them on the snowblower and see how it looks. We will not be putting the snowblower on the tractor again, just because, you know, still quite a few days or months hopefully away from snow, so we won't be putting it on the tractor quite yet. But I'll show you the snowblower, what it looks like with those on there painted and everything. There you go. There it is, all assembled. We'll see how it performs this winter. I'm sure it can't be any worse than having the skid shoes on the sides. When I did try it out before I painted it, it was digging into the gravel a little bit, but not nearly as bad as with the skid shoes. So we'll see how it goes, and this winter when the first snow falls, we'll give you a nice shot of how it works, and hopefully everything works good. Might be a crazy idea, might be a great idea. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And make sure you like, subscribe, and check back in the winter. Thank you, and thanks for watching.